Welcome to the underground, you rebel scum! This is the American Expat, and today I'm going to be talking about how to get that blurry background in your photos, or bokeh, as it's referred to in photography speak. I think, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, let's grab some caffeine, or a cup of coffee, you know the drill, and get right into this whole bokeh effect in photos. Thanks for sticking with us. I've left my caffeinated drink over there in the car because I'm out here in the mountains near Ogden, Utah, to talk about this whole blurry background thing. So you're probably wondering, first of all, how does this work? How do you manage to get that? Well, it's all in the lens. And I'm not saying you have to have a particularly special lens, but in the lens there's something called the aperture, which is like the little hole in your eye that opens and closes a bit more, gets bigger and smaller, to let in more light, or to, you know, if you're in particularly bright situations. Well, it does a little bit more than that. It also determines, I guess, the depth of field, or how much of the image is actually going to be in focus. I mean, how far away. You know, if you're doing like landscape photography, you probably want everything in focus, as much as you possibly can. In which case, you would close that hole down, which is actually the bigger number when you're dealing with the aperture. But if you want to get the blurry background like you see in a lot of portrait photography, then you want that hole to be really, really big and open as much as you can without ruining the image and making it too washed out and bright. Anyway, the aperture. Now, good news for those of you who are using phones to take photos and not to take photography. For those of you using an iPhone or something like that, all you have to do is go into the settings and choose portrait mode, and you'll get the blurry background no matter what. That's just what that's for. But for those of us using cameras, you're going to have to use something called aperture priority, which simply means that you take control of the aperture and the camera takes care of the rest. It's the easiest way to do that. I mean, you can do it if you want to go into manual mode and you know what you're doing. Go ahead. That'll work too. But for those of us who are maybe not as advanced when it comes to photography and knowing how to work the camera, aperture mode is what you're going to want. Which, if you have a dial on your camera, is going to be the one that has the A. You're going to go to that setting. If you have a camera that doesn't have dials, just look in there somewhere. There's going to be an aperture priority mode. That's what you're going to want. That's what you're going to want to take control of. This is going to be the same whether you're using film cameras or digital cameras. Same deal. So don't worry about the difference between the two. It's all the same. And I'll show that to you because I'm going to be using a film camera as well as digital to take these photos today. So again, you're going to want to put it on aperture priority mode, and then you're just going to make the number as small as you possibly can, so that it opens up, and then focus on the subject, which hopefully is not too far away from you, and voila, you'll have the blurry background. Trust me, it works. And again, let's just to demonstrate this, let's go and try it out so that you can see how it works in practice, not just in theory where I'm telling you about like changing numbers on the thing. Let's go take a look. Our first photo stop is going to be the Kanawha State Forest near Charleston, West Virginia. They call it a state forest, but it's really more like a state park with a lot of facilities for anyone wanting to have a cookout. There are also over 25 miles of hiking and biking trails to enjoy, and for our purposes, they have some surfaces covered with fish guts to set my cameras on. I've loaded the old SRT with Portra 160 and have my Fast 50 lens here to really get some of that blurry effect. This camera is all manual, so it's up to us to get the exposure right. And after getting the aperture stopped down as low as we can, or opened up, we have to adjust the shutter speed so that the photo isn't blown out. And there it is, my Nikon F100 with an especially blurry background. I'm using the camera because none of my friends wanted to volunteer as a model. Now, I've got my son here for a cookout. This old camera really has some interesting bokeh, and by that I mean the blurriness of the background. Let's try 70s selfie mode. That's some interesting bokeh, and a great addition to the family photo album. Hot dogs are almost ready. You will probably take photos of more interesting subjects, but I'm hungry. And look at that. Those hot dogs look tasty. and the background is blurry. Now, we're heading to our old favorite Coonskin Park to try the vintage lens on the digital camera. The Ibis really doesn't like the vintage lens, but the photo has a blurry background. Now to go to the other way and try to get more in focus. A lovely photo of the trail, hopefully with some vintage qualities. Can I get a blurry background with this hollow tree? I guess it helps if there's something other than the sky behind the subject. For the next couple of photos, we're taking a very long drive, a cross-country drive to northern Utah, Ogden to be specific, and then a somewhat shorter drive through the canyon to Pine View Reservoir. Pine View Reservoir got its start back when FDR was in the White House. It provides irrigation water for fields way out into the valley. Now we're going totally digital. Will it look any better? The colors look nice, but I forgot about the blurry background. The lake won't do for a blurry background, but it looks nice, so a photo is in order. So, what'd you think? How did we do? Did we get that blur? We got it. I was actually quite impressed, to be honest, with the film. I know we set out just to get the blurry background, and we achieved that through use of aperture priority, and in the case of the totally manual camera, well, we just, you know, put the aperture so that the opening was as big as possible, which means the smallest number, don't forget, the lower f-stop number, and adjust the shutter speed, and there you go, you can get your exposure proper. And we did it, but my goodness, that film, that the Portra 160, I know a lot of people are apparently afraid of that online, but wow, what beautiful photos it took. And I don't think I had a bad one in the bunch. You didn't see all of the photos, but wow, beautiful photos, beautiful color. I mean, if I was looking at it, I wouldn't know that that wasn't digital. I mean, the pictures are so clear, and there's so little noise from the grain. Just absolutely impressive. But anyway, blurry backgrounds now achieved. So now you, too, can go out and use something other than your iPhone to try and achieve these blurry backgrounds in your photos. If you're trying to take a picture of someone and you want to have that nice portrait look, you can do it. If you're trying to take a picture of an object and you want it to just look cool, for whatever reason you want that blurry background, maybe you're trying to make videos, it's the same in videos. And well, now you know what to do. Just adjust the aperture. And with that, I guess we'll go ahead and end this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to subscribe, like, and all that stuff.